Let's just make this whole episode a Joe Rogan ripoff.
Okay, easy.
Okay, so
Yeah,
UFC.
so, yeah, picking people up and fighting people. Yeah.
I don't really have strong opinions about politics.
No, yeah, not at all, man. Hey, you just gotta smoke weed and you're gonna go to this other dimension, and that's basically it.
Yeah. Have you seen any of his? Sorry, I'll introduce us first. So, welcome to the show with me, Dan, and my guest, Ashton Jones.
Hello, everyone. Hello, world.
And silence.
And silence.
Is that what you
One
usually
person
get?
clapping. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Talking of
But there's always a laughter track and an applause track in my head, so I don't really need other people.
Is it like a standing ovation?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like that gif of like the old cinema, and they're all like in the 50s, and everyone stands up and applauses and cheers and stuff like that.
This is good. Yeah, I think people have already liked you. You know, once you start off arrogant, then people are like, "Oh, yeah, I want to follow this guy."
Sorry, guys, I was just joking.
So, my first question is, what makes you amazing?
Well, it's a good question there, Dan. What does make me amazing? I suppose there's a lot of reasons that I'm amazing. It'd be hard to count them all, but
Sweet. Well, I will officially start and make more direction as I've been given some feedback to try and make the conversation more directed.
Yeah, fair enough.
From you and from others. But yeah,
Yes.
So I will start by sort of asking you what's been taking up most of your time over the last few weeks. What have you been spending most of your time doing? So what's your normal sort of days and weeks look like?
During this crazy coronavirus time we're living in.
That's the one.
Yeah. Last couple of weeks, just been working equals health from home. I mean, there's not much you can do really, but I suppose one of the rules which is good is that you can go out and exercise. So I kind of start the day doing a little weightlifting session in my study, work during the day, and then go out for a run in the evening. And then it's just like repeat, potentially for the next 2 years.
So do you work out twice a day every day?
I'd say at the moment I lift weights. I do like the weight stuff probably 5 times a week, and I'm running 6 times a week. So it's like I'll kind of mix and match when I take a day off lifting weights and when I take a day off running. But it's probably like 11 sessions a week, if you could call them sessions. But to be fair, I mean, because I'm working from home every day, it's been you have a lot of time to do that. Like when say I'm working in the kitchen or you know you're out and about, you don't get that much time. But I've just been making the most of it really. Otherwise, literally you're going insane. I don't know how you've been dealing with it, but yeah, if I didn't do it, I think I'd go mad.
Yeah. So most of your time is so do you work Monday to Friday still from home?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Monday to Friday. I try and do like regular, like normal hours I would be doing. So I'd like try and log in and log off. Log in at 9, log off at 6. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing really. But just been trying to make the most of daily exercise, getting outside. Just kind of, it's a good way to clear the head and get outside. It's been so sunny as well. Like it's been beautiful. I mean, in a way, thank God this has happened during like a springtime heat wave. Because imagine if it was winter.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be way worse. So yeah, just trying to make the most of it really, and get after it.
Sweet. So a lot of your time when you're not working, you're doing exercise of some sort.
Yeah. I'm a keen runner, and yeah, like I said, lifting weights, because otherwise you're not moving about enough, and and I don't like feeling like I've been sedentary for the whole day. It just sucks,
So,
basically.
so for people that don't know you, um, if you were listening to yourself 5 years ago saying what you just said, what, how would the old you react? Because this was not you 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know. It's mad. I think 5 years ago I was still traveling. I was
Yeah.
traveling the world and seeing, different places. Um, and I was finding myself. But yeah, I think 5 years ago, definitely. I mean, I didn't care about. I mean, I didn't care about going to the gym. I definitely didn't care about running. Um, I was traveling. It was after uni. Like, I just wanted to party every day, basically. I mean, that's why I went traveling after uni. So give you an extra year of just partying and going mad, really.
Yeah.
But it was kind of by the end of traveling, I'd say, like, when I did like 6 weeks traveling the east coast of Australia, and then the visa ran out. We went to Southeast Asia, and then I think that was 2 months of traveling Southeast Asia, and that altogether is like 3.5 months of drinking every day. Like,
Yeah.
it was it was the complete opposite. And by the end of Southeast Asia, that's kind of when I had my first initial moment where I don't know why I don't know why it happened, but I just remember sitting there, it's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I finally had reached the end of being able to, like, live that party lifestyle and drink every day and stuff like that. And at that point, I was like, I was looking forward to going home. I think it was weeks before I actually went home. I was looking forward to going home for the first time, and I was like, right, as soon as I get home, I'm gonna start, like, hitting the gym, because I tried so many times before to hit the gym, and I do it for like 1 or 2, 3 months, and it's just easy to fall off it, because the motivation goes away and you want to do other stuff, and like I was doing, you want to party and drink and whatever. um
So what was like, if you could sum up, like, it doesn't have to be exactly 5 years ago, just before, because the way I'd sort of say how you are now is you love running, you're very keen on healthy eating and generally being active, um, and your whole attitude, I think, has changed quite a lot over the years. So
mm.
what was your sort of general attitude, like, mentally? What was your thoughts around being healthy and not drinking as much, or just the sort of, yeah, what was your mindset back then?
um the like, the I think the initial moment why I decided, like, enough is enough is because I just felt terrible, like, in terms of, like, lethargy, like, flat, no energy. You just feel unhealthy. um and it kind of got to the stage where I was sick of that. So I was like, so I saw initially the gym is like, okay, I need to start getting healthy. I need to. It's like it's a really long process. Kind of, you got to add, like, little things here and there to. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like 100% healthy person right now, but yeah, in comparison to 5 years ago, or say when I started the gym, you just kind of, like, learn things on the way. But um, I just didn't feel. I just felt horrible. Like, I mean, you probably know, because obviously you have, like, quite a good diet, but you can feel it if you're eating trash, like, or if you do eat trash, or if you have a big meal, or if you drink or whatever, you just feel it. Like, you just feel rubbish.
Mm.
So
So when
yeah,
you first started, would you say the first point where you started to shift your views on uh, how you wanted to sort of your attitudes towards health and your own health,
mm,
that started when you were traveling then?
yeah, I think that started. Yeah, like I said, at the end of traveling. Before then, like I said, before then, I would get into it, and then fall by the wayside, because what happens is you get motivated, and you're like, right, I'm going to start hitting the gym, and you might smash it for like 1 or 2 weeks, but motivation doesn't last. It's like a moment. Motivation is just like a moment. You see something, and you're like, all right, I want to do that, but then 2, 3 weeks into it, when, I don't know, you're watching TV or you're chilling out or something like that, you don't want to go to the gym. So I kept on doing that like through, probably from the start of university till the end of maybe not traveling, but till that period. So when I had that moment when I was traveling where I was like, enough is enough, I kind of set myself. I had to like strategize how to get to where I wanted to be, which was like fit, healthy, whatever. So I set myself like an initial goal was like, when I get back, I'm going to hit the gym. I think I said like 4 times a week for a year. Like that was my goal. That was because I was tired of like starting to get into like the healthy. I see it happen like see it happen all the time. Like it's not easy to keep on going. You have that moment where you're like, right, I'm going to do it now, and then like I said, you can fall by the wayside. So I set myself a year goal. I was like, I'll do it for a year, and then hopefully potentially by the end of that year, it's part of my routine, and then go on from there really.
So one thing I want to establish. So obviously, in hindsight, it's difficult to look back and say exactly what you were thinking at the time. But that first time when you thought, right, I need to do something about this. What do you think at the time you identified as the main things you wanted to change? Like what? Because there's many areas of getting healthy. What for you was the main problem? You said you were drinking a lot. Did you at that point go, oh, okay, I want to stop drinking, or was it just like what was the key focus you had? Was it mainly around just going to the gym, or?
You know what? Probably. I mean, drinking definitely not like that. I mean, I still wanted to drink.
Yeah, yeah.
I think probably the initial thing would have been like quite narcissistic. Say like, oh, I want to get in good shape. I want to have like a good physique or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the starting point. Whereas like, I don't know, like I want to be in good shape. I want to be able to take off my shirt and look good. I mean, I've still got a couple photos from when I was traveling. Say like if I was shirtless on my phone because it just reminds me of like just didn't look good and I didn't like that. You know me, like I can be quite I can be perceived as like quite cocky and narcissistic.
Yeah, but you play on it as well.
But I play on that. Yeah, I don't like that's kind of a whole part of it, but that was probably the main thing is that like, oh, I want to look in good shape first. So I think that's the reason why anyone like or any guy really that's probably the main reason why any guy says I want to start going to the gym. It wasn't really like an all encompassing thing. Like I don't even know if I can necessarily say like I want to be like really fit and healthy and blah 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 because it was like a long process. But I think that was it.
Do you reckon it was more?
I want to get abs, man. I want to get that six pack.
So, like in summary, I'm just sort of picturing this in my head. Obviously, it's a massively dramatized version.
Yeah.
You're waking up.
It was
Thailand.
A dark, rainy day.
And you look down.
The raindrops were lashing against the window. As
we should do an audio book.
As thunder crackled in the sky.
So you look down at yourself in the morning, thunder's cracking in the sky, and you're like, you just see a belly that's too big for what you want, and your body is just not happy with. So that was the main thing. It wasn't. Yeah. So just
and you know what? I'd probably seen like a couple, like I said, the photos that I have on my phone. I've probably seen a couple of photos of myself that I wasn't happy with. But that was a part of it matched with the fact that I just felt terrible. Like if you're drinking every day for 3.5 months, it takes its toll on you. Like
right. So it's a combination of like just to sum up sort of what you're saying is like it was a combination of the way you looked and also the way you felt, and you felt at that point the way to sort of two birds with one stone is go to the gym because then I'll feel better and I'll look better.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Cool. So so you came back, and what was your sort of progress with that then?
So I came back. I don't know if I got into it straight away, but I definitely tried to obviously start eating healthy straight away because I've been living off like burgers and beers for the last however long. So did that, and then I think probably after about a month, I started going to the gym. I at the time I remembered the specific date, but I think there was like a first gym session date. It was like say July the 20th, and I was like from now, and it was probably like a Monday, and I was like from now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week until July the 21st. What was it, 2017 or whatever.
Right.
So I set myself the goal of the year then, because I knew that if I didn't set myself that long-term goal, then there's every chance that I'll do what I'd done like 5 times before. Whereas I get into it for 2 months and then, because the thing is with the gym is that before you start, you have like all these, you have like this vision in your head that like, right, I'm going to smash. And I thought this at the time as well. I was like, I'm going to smash the gym, and within 3 months, I'm going to be looking in good shape. And then after a year, you'll be looking massive. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work. So, I thought at least if I set the yearly goal, then probably after a few months, it will be hard to not do it, because then it's kind of like 3 months has been wasted. That was like my tactic to start with.
So do you think it was important? What do you think was the difference in your mindset? So it was trying to have a goal, a solid goal to work towards. Do you think that is what helped you to motivate you more, having a more solid goal as opposed to sort of like a vague image?
Yeah, I think my advice to anyone who like feels like how I felt, or thinks like I want to start running or want to start going to the gym, you have to strategize, and you have to strategize long term. You can't you like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym next month. Like, luckily I noticed that, so that's why I've set myself that yearly thing of like, right, go for it for a year, and then hopefully it'll become a part of the routine. And I think that was probably the most important thing that I realized, is that if I strategize and set myself that year goal, then it should stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I did.
So what made you sort of, before we carry on sort of with your life story,
With the life of Ashton Jones.
Why do you think it took you, I'm not saying it took you a long time, everyone's got to find their own point when they make any change in their life. You know, for some people a change, they'll do it in their teenage years, some people it will be in their 50s. But what do you think almost you needed to get to a point where you started to change it, and it was actually a genuine curve in the road, not just like a temporary swerve? Like, what?
Yeah,
why didn't you think you'd realized or come to this sort of this feeling before?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dan. I like that. And without like romanticizing it, and it's kind of hard to say because people might wait for it, but I kind of just had like an epiphany moment. It was like a moment. It was like it wasn't something that I'd been like building up to. It was that moment when I was traveling where I was like, enough is enough. Like, I can't do this anymore. And then you start to think and you start to plan. But like the week before that moment, I wasn't thinking about that. And I can't. It's annoying because I can't really remember what sparked it off. But I just remember feeling like horrible, just feeling like I said, unhealthy, and I just kind of had that moment of realization, and it was quite clear. And to be honest, the same thing happened when I started running, or at least when I first started attempting to run. It was a similar thing, but it's not great advice, because then people will be like, oh sweet, it's going to happen to me. I need that moment of like epiphany or whatever. But
do you think just to sort of to relay what I think I'm hearing, was it almost like a feeling, whether it was externally or not, but a feeling of a new low, like of looking at yourself and going, God, it's gotten so bad for yourself, and obviously everyone's got their own ideas of what bad is, but for you it gotten so bad that you were like, right, that I guess it's that sort of cliche of like you have to sort of hit rock bottom in a way for yourself to then start to change things.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that is bang on. To be honest, I wouldn't say I hit like rock bottom.
No, no.
Because there's much lower that you can go, but
Yeah.
it was definitely a low. I'd sunk to a low, and that obviously wasn't helped with like my lifestyle at that time. But yeah, you kind of got to the point where it's like, all right, it's now or never. Like I need to do something about this to fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think yeah, it definitely stemmed from a low. You've got to get to the point where you're like, enough is enough, basically.
Mm, mm.
And I just think a lot of people. I know people who like want to get into fitness or want to get healthy or stuff like that, but something big enough, and it wasn't a big moment, but something big enough doesn't happen for them to actually pursue it, like to change their life.
Mm.
Like I said, they might go to a couple months and then just be like, oh, I can't be asked for this. I'm gonna watch TV tonight or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't say it was a massive low, but I mean, in terms of how my life was going, it probably it was a low at that point, definitely.
And I guess maybe the binge, like, sort of on this point
Oh
of
mate,
what makes people change. Like, I guess there's two sort of broad ways that people decide to change. One of them is the more sort of, they educate themselves about something and they want to move towards that, you know. And the other
mm,
way is what you're describing. Like, it gets so bad for yourself, um, that you just have had enough. And yeah, and I guess that binge helped with that. It was almost like, I remember one of my aunties, she used to smoke, and
mm.
when I was a kid, I asked her if I could have a smoke, and she said, "Yeah, but you have to smoke the whole cigarette."
You're a badass kid, dude.
Yeah, I put my sunglasses on. I look good. No, and I didn't want
Flick
to,
the lapels of your leather jacket.
and I didn't
Come
want
on,
to.
Nan, give us a ciggy.
But yeah, I didn't want to finish the whole cigarette. Like, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And then she said, next time you ask me, you'll have to finish the whole pack of cigarettes. And
All right.
I
That's
guess
mad.
I mean, I'm not advocating that
And
you
then
just
she smoked the
get
whole pack in front of you. This is how a real woman does it.
But I guess the point was, the sort of moral of that is like, if someone is exposed to extreme levels of something that isn't good for them, even if it's, because there's extremes, isn't there? There's, you can have a beer at the pub,
Mm,
um, once or twice a week, like one or two beers, and that is very different from going on a a Thailand binge and
yeah.
and not really treating your body. So I guess that binge, as detrimental as it was to your health, that really helped to then change your mind and swerve.
100%. Like, I mean, obviously you haven't drunk or like been on the binge drinking scene for a while, but I mean, now, like at 27 years old, if I do one night, I'm out of action for 2 days.
Mm,
So obviously, like you can do it when you're younger, but mate, 3.5 months. That's like at the time you're not conscious of what you're doing to your body. Like
mm,
it's terrible. Your body shouldn't be processing all those toxins every single day. So that probably in turn stemmed to like obviously like feeling like having negative thoughts or just having like low moments that would have been highlighted because of like the unhealthy like I said eating. I mean your diet's like burgers and chips for like lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner really,
so
and
why
then beers to go along.
why do you think that is? Like, not just personal level, but like as a society, what why do you think that we don't really care that much about our health, especially when we're younger?
I don't know. I always think about this, and it's interesting because obviously I look back to myself, but now when I look without judging people, I look at people who say I know or like people on Facebook or Instagram. I see their lifestyles and it does like yeah. That's the question. Is like why do people do this? Like it's like now. I was thinking about this the other day as well, actually. So like what kind of the main thing to do is in the UK is you go out for like drinks on a Friday or and Saturday.
Yeah.
You work 5 days a week,
Mm,
and then I mean I was doing this. I was doing this for like 3 years. You work 5 days a week, and then you go out say Friday night, and then the next day it's like you got the flu. You've got 2 days off a week,
mm,
and and for some reason we've got this urge to just give yourself an illness for at least like a day and a half, and then it's time to go to work again on Monday. So now I'm out of that. I don't understand why, but I guess it's just the habit of society and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you think it's harder when you're in a culture which is heavily focused on things that, I guess a part of culture is heavily focused on things that are really not good for your health.
Yeah.
And then to be part of that, you want to stay being with your friends, you want to do what they do, you want to still keep the connections you've got. So then if you try to move away from an aspect of that, then it can alienate you in a way. Do you think that's maybe part of it?
It's a massive social thing, isn't it? Luckily, we've got a friend group. I mean, a lot of them don't drink really at all, but there's a massive social aspect to it. And if you start a new job or stuff like that, the best way to get contact and make friends with the people you work with is to go out for a drink. So it's just like when I was working in an office environment, Friday and Saturday every weekend was just getting on it, because otherwise, it's like that seems to be the only option to connect with people, is to go out for a beer. Otherwise, what are you going to do? I'm not going to say to my work lot, oh, do you want to go to the park for a nice picnic and salad? You know what I mean? Then no one would talk to me.
Unless you worked at like a vegan like activist group.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Then
yeah.
that would be the way.
I was working. I had the wrong job. God's sake.
Yeah. If you worked at a vegan activist group and you said, "Oh, let's go to the pub and have a steak," then you'd be the weird one.
Yeah. 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 You definitely can't have a steak. No.
No.
Can't get it right. At my last job, I tried a picnic and a salad. They said no. Now I'm saying beer and a steak, in this new job, I'm saying no.
So, all right. So let's go back to your story. So you set yourself this goal: four days a week. You were going to go to the gym for a year. And how did you get on? So yeah, how did that go for you?
Oh, it's really funny. I made it, basically. So I did the year. I will put in a side note that every 2 months I had like a rest week. Every 2 or 3, maybe 10 weeks, I had a rest week. So it's basically a week you're out of the gym. So that, other than that, I went 4 times a week every week. And I did have those. So obviously, technically, you could say, well, you didn't do it, but I also so basically a lie. But I also thought that if I wanted to keep my motivation up, I would need to kind of bring myself out for a week, because when you don't go to the gym for a week, when you're in a routine, you're like really motivated to go back. So other than that, I did 4 times a week for a whole year. But I mean, it's funny because obviously I luckily I had a regular gym partner to go with, who the rule was that if I try and get out of going to the gym, you can annoy me as much as you want. You can basically be a dickhead to me until I change my mind and say yes. And that was Sam. And I think without having someone, he wasn't obviously pushing me every day, but without having someone to hold me accountable, maybe it would have been different. I think that's why a lot of people struggle, because especially now that we're older and everyone's doing their own thing, like it is hard at the start to go by yourself every time, because when you start going to the gym, you feel like that nerd that like everyone's looking at you and saying, "Oh, look at that little weakling, he has no idea what to do." I mean, people still say that to me.
Yeah, I say it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's hard to go by yourself, especially if you feel like you don't really know what you're doing. So I had that, but yeah, I still talk to Sam now. It's like, I remember there was probably, I'd say from like month 6 to month 9, I just remember being so moody every time. I'd say 50% of the time when we were in there, I'd just be so grumpy. Like I really didn't want to be there. And that holds true. Like what I thought was the case is that if I really want to make this a part of my life, I have to set the long-term goal, because basically when you get past the first couple months where, say, you get like a little bit lean and you start feeling like you start looking a little bit better and feeling healthier, you then have a massively prolonged period where it feels like nothing's happening.
Yeah, you're like plateau.
Nothing. Yeah, you plateau. Like nothing you do is making any difference. You feel like you look the same as you did from the start. And I think it's because there's things like 6-minute abs and stuff like that. People think it's going to be easy and quick, kind of. Like before I started, I thought, mate, after 3 months, I'm going to have 6-pack, and then if I do it for a year, I'm gonna look like not Arnold Schwarzenegger, but like better. But yeah, so you have this prolonged period where it just like it feels like nothing you're doing is making a difference. And Sam's stronger than me, and I used to be so moody sometimes, like, no, I don't want to do that, I can't do that, like, stuff like that. But just pushed through it really, and yeah, made it the year, and obviously it stuck, and now now I'm still going strong with it, even in isolation times. I bought when 2 days before finding out. Well, I found out that the gym was going to close in 2 days, so that night I went to Argos, bought a bench, like a workout bench, drove all the way to Sammy's to pick up. He's got like weights where they're like adjustable weights. You can change how heavy they are. Yeah. Pick those up. So now I'm sorted. I'm sweet. I'm still going.
I think sales have boomed in this time actually with like gym stuff and workout stuff.
Oh, massively. I had to drive to like Boreham Wood, Argos. Never been to Boreham Wood in my life.
There you go.
It was quite an experience.
Yeah, I got some.
It was
studios
an adventure.
There.
Yeah. Didn't see him.
So to sort of sum up your first year, the key things that helped you were probably two. That you would maybe give as tips to people. So one of them is set clear goals, and for a substantial amount of time. So a year is probably a good one to start off with. And the second one would be if you can, do it with someone, because that will just give you that extra motivation, especially someone who will push you. If you've got someone who is less motivated than you, then you're, I guess, more likely to go along with their lack of motivation. Because I guess Sam was in a position where he was already quite motivated to go to the gym, and then that helped because then he was pushing you along.
Yeah, and I'd say set clear goals, and they have to be. So obviously, I had the weekly goal of 4 times a week. Didn't have a monthly goal, but I had a weekly goal and a yearly goal. So if when people ask me like advice, I say you just got to strategize it. You've got to think clearly of how you're going to do it, and you've got to set yourself long-term goals. Otherwise, I just think it's impossible. Like the fun of doing all this stuff that I do now is that say if you're setting yourself a weekly goal, at the end of every week you're buzzing, you're like, I did it. Or even at the end of every day, like say yesterday I set myself a goal to do a certain length run. I did it, and I felt really good after. So it's like a feedback loop. Like it feeds back and it makes you feel good. But you have to be prepared for it to, like, it's gonna suck, especially at the start. Like it's just gonna suck. So yeah, I think I always try and tell people, like, you just got to think clearly about it, and just be conscious of like, be realistic about it. Be realistic about how it's going to end up. Like I said, I thought I was going to have abs within 4 months, whatever. But that's just not realistic. Like, if you really want to like get to your goals, you've just got to be consistent every day for forever, basically. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like, I'd say setting yourself the yearly goal is a good start, but you've basically got to be prepared to do this for the rest of your life. Otherwise, it's like, why are you doing it? Yeah. Like, I didn't just want to be healthy for a year and then go back to, drinking every day. But that's how you get to that stage.
I think naturally, though, once you do it for a year, it's very difficult for your mind to let you go back completely.
Oh, it's horrible, mate.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't want to go to the gym. You know what I mean? Sometimes now it's like, or like sometimes I don't want to go for a run, but it's like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse to not do it. It's like I've been doing it for years now.
Yeah.
That's the double-edged sword of it. I guess you're after a long day, like you're a long day of work, and it's like, I don't want to go to the gym or go to the run or go for a run, but I can, so I should.
Yeah, I guess one other thing I'd throw into the mix, which is sort of what you were saying anyway, is on the back of that consistency thing and the realistic thing. One thing I see in myself and in others is putting the bar so high that you don't even get anywhere higher than you are now. I mean, obviously there may be there's got to be some people out there that set the bar so high and they actually do manage to keep to it. But the
Yeah,
vast majority of people, you need to. I think I would throw into what you're saying about is really think about it before you set that plan. Think about, because everyone's work patterns are different as well.
yeah,
So your situation of 4 days a week for a year might not be compatible with other people, and they might be like, right, well, I've got kids to look after, or I've got this and that, and um, and so I think really being realistic about what you're going to be able to keep up consistently
mm,
um, will then really help you, because if the bar's too high, then you're not going to achieve anything. It's better to
yeah. That's bang on.
achieve like 3 steps above where you are now
Mm,
than aim for 10 and not get anything.
yeah, that's bang on. And the surefire way that you're going to absolutely hate it is by going from 0 to 100.
Mm,
Like it might be fun and exciting to get up at 5, because I've tried that before as well. It might be fun and exciting like the first 2 times, getting up at 5 a.m. and doing a run and stuff like that,
mm,
mate. Especially if you haven't done that before, or you haven't even been close to doing that,
no.
you'll literally despise it.
Mm,
Like that's kind of that. So like kind of jumping forward a bit now to say the start of last year,
mm,
when I started running, I was very aware of that. Obviously, from what I'd learned from the gym, very aware of that, and so I was sensible when I set myself, like I basically set myself monthly goals, and the distance that I wanted to run per month would go up like for each month of the year. So the first month was just 20K. That was it. So that was like an achievable goal that I thought it was better than what I was doing now, which is say 0 kilometers a month. And then if I could just get to 20, otherwise what that person does, or like an equivalent, is like going from 0 to 100 kilometers in a week. It's just not going to work.
no. So
And
let's
and I've seen that so many times. This is the main problem with when people try and diet as well. I used to see this so much. Like people diet, so they're like, I'm gonna eat healthy now. I'm gonna cut out all this junk, blah blah blah. So they go from eating whatever they want to dieting, like and like a really strict like low calorie diet. After 3 or 4 days, you're just gonna be, firstly you're gonna be starving,
mm,
so that sucks. And I think when you're starving, it sends like bad hormone. I don't know the science, but like it don't send like and this is only from doing it myself, but it sends like bad chemicals, bad hormones around your body, and you just feel rubbish. And
mm.
and it's that's why diets. I think it's like 95% of diets fail after a month. Or probably that's probably literally made up, but
I don't know the
I heard it
science, but here's
somewhere.
a statistic. Yeah, no, yeah, it's a good point. So let's backtrack a little bit. So you what when did you start to check? So you've done a year
Mm,
of the gym. What was your next turning point? And I sort of point to the ones that I've got in mind, because they're separate things. Obviously, there's so many aspects of health, but your
yeah,
attitude to drink started to change.
yeah.
So you were going to the gym, your attitude to drink started to change, and you started to run. So if you can sort of in order of when that those two things started to happen, and what your your journey was with alcohol and with running.
So I'd say so the gym, it would have probably been say 2 years ago into the gym, but my lifestyle around that, say drinking every weekend, stuff like that. I think at one point I was probably up to like, and it's not terrible. I would never claim that I was an alcoholic, but I know now that looking back, it wasn't, the behaviour wasn't great. Basically, I'd be drinking like probably 4 or 5 times a week, and say 3 of those days would be a couple pints in the pub, but it still makes a difference. But I'd say with the drinking thing, and again, it was just like a moment. So, um, and I don't know what sparked it, but I think it would have been about 2 years into 2 years into going to the gym. and I think I was in my old flat, and I was probably having a beer on the weekend by myself. Like I probably wasn't. I don't think I was with anyone, but I used to basically when it was like after the gym, which is so counterproductive. But I'd finish work, I'd go to the gym after work on Friday. So like that's great. And then the first thing I'd do is go to Sainsbury's and buy like a crate of beer, because that was like the start of the weekend for me. And I'd do that even if I wasn't seeing anyone, which I think is like the worrying behaviour of it.
So do you think
But
that was a sign for you? One of the signs was like, um, in terms of you felt like you'd gone too far with your drinking for you, was I'm doing this quite a lot by myself.
I used to joke about it. Like I found it funny. Like when I talked to the boys about it, I would joke about it. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna have some beers by myself, and people would be like, really? What? That's weird, mate. So it wasn't that sparked it. What did spark it is that I was sitting in the flat thinking, just like thinking about whatever, and then I was thinking back. I don't know like why the thought started, but I was thinking back. I was like, I wonder when the last time or how long ago it was that I didn't drink for a month, and that was it. Like that was like, and I was thinking back. I was like, yeah, it'd probably be before uni, probably be before I was 18, obviously, where I could buy beer. And then like going back and further on what we used to do when we were younger, say, yeah, when we were like 15, 16, 17. I was like, it's probably like when I was 15, where I hadn't gone a month without drinking. And like that realization was kind of mad to me. And this would have been during September. So obviously there's the sober October thing. That is actually a thing. So I was like, you know what, maybe I'll try it, because obviously I do drink quite a lot of beer on the weekend, stuff like that. So maybe I'll try sober October. So that's literally where it stemmed off from, where I realized that the last time I probably didn't go a whole month without drinking was at that point, 10 years ago, which is mad to think about.
Again,
But
sorry.
up until that point, I didn't realize that. You know what I mean? It's like it's such a common thing in our society that I hadn't thought about that until I was 25 or whatever.
So why? I mean, I know this is going a bit maybe too deep psychologically, and again, it's going to be difficult to know exactly what you were thinking. But I can imagine some people realizing that, having that thought, they're thinking, "Oh, when was the last time I went a month without drinking?" Realizing, "Oh, it was when I was 15," and then saying, "Well, you know, I enjoy alcohol, so I'm just going to carry on." So what? Why weren't you doing that? Why did you actually? You had that realization of I haven't had a month without alcohol since I was 15.
Yeah.
Why do you think you then? What was the motivation to then go? I'm going to give up for a month.
Um. Yeah. I don't know that. Yeah. I actually don't know. I think a lot of it was just curiosity.
Okay.
Like, okay, I haven't done that for a whole month. That like realizing that say had potentially been 10 years, thinking like that's weird. Like obviously I knew that drinking isn't good for you. You know, I'm getting a hangover pretty much every weekend. So you know, I love a beer though. I do love a beer, not gonna lie. But I think it was mainly curiosity, and it was like it was like a challenge. It was like, oh, maybe I'll try and do that then, because I know October's coming up, sober October, like people are doing it anyway. Excuse me. And I was like, maybe I'll just try and do it and just see. It's kind of like an experiment, like see how I feel after a month. So that was definitely a turning point in like changing my behaviour with alcohol, 100%, massively. But it kind of stemmed from like, it wasn't like a big moment where I was like, I need to stop drinking because I'm getting smashed and I'm
Wasn't the
embarrassing
same as
myself.
your
I do that
previous one.
anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
But I still do that if I go out. I'm still embarrassed, but like the next day. But it wasn't anything like that. It was just like, I might try this.
So it wasn't it in that way. It contrasts to the Thailand moment. It wasn't like you were
Yeah,
at a new low. So
yeah,
yeah, I can relate to that, because that was probably, so I don't drink. I'm not completely teetotal. I actually do enjoy a beer every now and again, but
love it, mate.
on average, if I look back at the last 2 years, I probably had a beer like twice a month.
You're mental.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, but for me, it started because I was like, it was Lent, so I was like, I'm just going to give up for Lent and see what happens. And
Yeah,
that's one thing. That's been a lot of aspects of my life actually, where I've just tried it,
Mm.
And anyone who I would say to anyone really, if they're having thoughts about something, if they're um, like you say, you don't have to hit a low, you don't have to. If you just try something out, like
Oh,
you,
massively.
like you just to learn more about yourself. Like how do I react to this? What happens if I don't go on Facebook for like 3 weeks?
Mm.
That's one I haven't done personally, but I'm just sort
Good
of.
idea.
But anything really where you think this thing, then I'm a bit unsure about my relationship with this a particular aspect of my life. I want to try this out and see what happens. I think
Yeah.
that's where some more can happen than you even realize.
What was the did you learn a lesson after that Lent test, like experiment?
Yeah, so I'd been thinking about alcohol for a while, and I was in first year of uni, so it was a very weird time to give up alcohol. Um,
Mm.
but I was like any friend.
Nerd.
I realized that I lost all my friends when I. But no, I gave it. I was thinking about it. I was a normal fresher, just drinking, and binge drinking and all that sort of stuff, and just having. I
Mm.
had a great time, a really great time.
Yeah.
And I've had lots of amazing times in the past when I've been drunk. But yeah, I've just been thinking about and then Lent came about, and I was just like, oh yeah, I just want to give it a go. So I gave it a go, and the turning point for me was because I didn't want to change my behaviour. I wanted
Mm.
to still go out to nightclubs. I wanted to, because obviously we're still in first year of uni, nearing the end of first year, because I guess Lent's like nearing the end of university year. But
Yeah. Easter time, something like that, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So my experience was I was in myself, I was feeling not too weird.
Mm.
It was strange. Obviously, the first couple of times I went out to a club and I wasn't topping up on alcohol and getting drunker and drunker. It was strange, but
Yeah.
I didn't I didn't feel negative. It just felt a bit uncomfortable, a bit uneasy, like I was in a sort of environment that I didn't really get yet. But the more I did it, I was like, well, I don't feel that different. I don't feel unhappier. I don't feel
Mm.
so. That was one thing. And at uni as well, I think we have a lot of people we can interact with, a lot of different types of like parties and gatherings. It might be a club, it might be party in someone's halls, it might be like something like that, or a bar. So there's a lot of variety. And also
Yeah.
I was getting comments from people as well. So people were saying to me like,
So like, you're such a loser, dude.
yeah. So then I realised that I was a loser. But yeah, people were saying to me like, "You're. I didn't realise you weren't drinking. You seem exactly the same." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
well, why do I need to do it then?"
Don't need it then, do you?
And
Yeah.
and and I sort of over the few months after that, I started sort of slowly came off. So after Lent, I went back to drinking, but nowhere near as much.
Mm.
We went to Zante that year, and did a
Oh
Let's
yeah. Were you
holiday.
were you sober at Zanti?
No, I was doing one day off, one day on. So
Oh
again, it
yeah.
was just a test. It was like I want to experience a lad's holiday with alcohol, and I want to experience it
Yeah.
drunk. But then I want to have
Yeah.
nights where I'm sober, and that was awesome. So yeah, that was it for me. I sort of realised I there wasn't much difference. And it built up my
Yeah.
confidence more. Like going out and pushing myself to go out without alcohol, it naturally I was a lot more confident in social situations. So then,
That's powerful. To be fair, I don't think I could have done it if there was like, especially if there was a lads' holiday. But like going out, I didn't have any of that, so
mm,
I think I would have struggled with that. I
mm,
think mainly because like the just not like, oh, I need a drink, but like made like self conscious or yeah. That's pretty powerful. To be fair, I forgot about that you're doing that in Zanzibar.
yeah, and it again, it's what works for you. Like
Yeah.
if because I did it at a time when I was in first year of uni and I went on a lad's holiday, my my confidence went up a lot quicker than if you just had sort of a normal 9 to 5 sort of lifestyle and the
Mm.
culture wasn't drinking as much. It was more difficult probably because I was in that environment, but it meant that I my resilience, I guess, built up a lot more. My resilience to dealing with social situations and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, fair play. I mean, mine. I don't think I was. I think it was a month where there were literally no events going on. I think I was working on the weekend, so that helped obviously. Although I was working in a brewery, so that didn't help. Um, but yeah, I was actually, yeah. Funny enough, I was working behind a bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but uh, yeah, it was a weird one because I didn't really expect anything big off when I did it. And definitely the first two weekends, I was like really like I felt like when I would normally be drinking, say in the evenings on the weekend and stuff like that, I felt like kind of restless, like I didn't know what to do with myself.
Mm.
And then I remember third weekend, like week three, like a massive turning point, and I just felt like energetic, and I felt like good, like really like healthy, and like there was like a noticeable difference. Obviously, on the weekend you're getting up and you're feeling like you're not feeling terrible. Um, Now every day there's like a possibility you can do stuff because you're not taking days off just to be hungover.
Mm.
So that I didn't expect much of it when I did it, and then I had that turning point in the third week where I was like, wow, this is like literally I was like, this is
Mm.
like, and obviously that stemmed back from I hadn't done that for 10 years, so I couldn't remember how that felt to not be like drinking on the weekend.
Mm.
And I think that's like going back to what we were saying near the start. Is people just get into the habits and going down the pub on the weekend and stuff like that. It's just your routine, and you forget how it feels to not do that.
Mm.
And it turned out it was like a massive eye opener. I was like, bloody hell, this is so. After that sober October, obviously you have November, December's a big one, and then I did dry Jan as well. Um, and then it just kind of went from there. And then when you carry on with it, I started to look back on like my behaviour, say getting a crate after the gym on Friday and just drinking it by myself. Like, what are you doing?
Mm.
It's but I suppose you don't realise it when you're in like a proper routine. Um, so
So
yeah, that's
so for the sake of like nailing down exactly what changes happen. So because it's individual to everyone. So
mm,
what did you realize when you did your two sober months, and what changed, and sort of where are you at now with it? Because I know that we drink different amounts now from each other.
yeah.
So where did you find personally you felt more comfortable, and what changes did you feel?
Um, what in terms of say like the first month when I initially did it, and then how did I feel?
Yeah, talk through the sober October all the way through to after January.
Um, I just felt good. Like I just felt like energetic. I always had this thing, and I can remember it from when I was a kid. I used to get up like for school when I was 5, and I'd just be so tired, and at school I'd be so tired. Obviously, I wasn't drinking when I was 5, or was I? Um, but I've always had this thing where like I've always had like this like lethargy, kind of lack of energy, and I noticed that when I initially stopped drinking for that sober October, like energy came back and I felt really good, like really positive. Obviously, people go like ups and downs in terms of like their mood and stuff like that. My mood maybe wasn't swinging as much as it normally would. It was just little things, but it was enough for me to notice it, and kind of think there's something behind this. And then going from there, I suppose is like I need to sort this out. I need to sort out. I need to not be drinking the levels that I'm drinking currently.
So what was your
Um,
experience in November and December after that?
so November was okay. Um, I think December. I think it was a heavy December. I think
Mm.
I think I went out the 4 days leading up to Christmas.
Mm.
I think it was that December. So it was a really heavy December. And then I think by the end of by the end of December, that's when I had that another like. I don't think I'd decided. I think it was near the end of the month that I decided I'm going to do dry Jan,
Mm-hmm.
because again, you just I don't know. It's all the things of like, say when you get smashed and you wake up and you got anxiety and people are telling you stories like you were really drunk and doing this, like, and that still happens to me every now and then. Like now,
Mm.
if I do go out, which I like occasionally do now.
Mm.
I mean, I think the last time I went out was over 2 months ago. So, but just that, it's a horrible feeling, like having that anxiety, getting feedback is like you were doing this and that, and you were smashed and blah blah blah. Um, So I think it was like, right, I'm gonna do. Obviously, January is a good one because it's the start of the year. So you're like, right, this is it. I'm gonna have my New Year's resolution, do dry Jan. And I think I enjoyed it so much that I lasted through till like March, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just 'cause I felt really good, and then obviously going back to being healthy and going to the gym and stuff like that, they feed into each other because I can go to the gym now on a Saturday morning, or like I was meeting up with Sam and going for a coffee Saturday morning, whereas normally I'd be just like in bed until 1 p.m. just feeling horrible. I'd order a pizza. It's gonna be so embarrassing, and I do this every
And
weekend.
I'd smear it on my body.
Maybe it's not. You can be the judge of this, but every weekend after like my session that I'd have, or if I was going out, or even if I was at home, I'd order the pizza, and probably the only time, maybe up until 6 p.m. that I'd get out of my bed is at lunchtime. I'd collect the pizza from the door and I'd eat it in bed every weekend.
Yeah.
Is that bad? Because I feel like it is.
It is what it is. Like
the pizza box would be on my bed sheet, and I'd be like leaning over. Oh man, and I do that. I'm not even joking. I do that every single weekend.
I mean, it sounds quite enjoyable, to be fair.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good though. That's the worst part of it. The football would be on my laptop. I'll be eating pizza and garlic bread and getting Coca-Cola down me. Oh, it's so good, man.
To be honest, when you're in that state, it's like medicine, isn't it? Like it's
Yeah,
like pizza and like just any junk food and watching something is just medicine for that.
It's comforting. Like I think that's like oh man, pizza's so good anyway. You know what I mean? So I'd do that. I'd do that every single weekend. But yeah, so it changed. Obviously not doing that on the weekends. Then I was getting up early. I was going to have a coffee with Sam. I was going to the gym, and then you get into the stage where so I've got up. Like I've had a coffee with my mate. I've gone to the gym, done a workout, maybe done a run, and I've done all of that by 12 p.m. Whereas I'd still be like kind of sleeping until 12 p.m. normally, and then in an hour I'd be getting my pizza in bed. So it just opened up the day, and then your weekends is like your days off. It opened up my weekends, and it just felt good.
So your progress was, just to sum up what you're saying. So October, you did it for the first time since you were 15 or 5 or whatever.
I think it was 5.
So
I don't know what was in that Ribena, but I felt great after.
But yeah, so you tried that sober October, and the first 2 weeks it was a struggle, but then the second 2 weeks you're like, wow, I'm actually getting a lot from this. And then November and December, you sort of, I don't want to say regress, but you went back quite.
I made a fool of myself, basically.
You went back to drinking quite a lot, but especially by the end of December, you sort of slowly slipped back into how you were, and then you realised again, right? And I guess the October that you'd had, that was still in your mind. So you were like, at the end of December, if you hadn't done that, you might not have changed so much, but because you'd done that, you're like, oh, I remember how good that felt. So then you went into sober January and February. And so since you've done that, what's your sort of normal drinking habits now? Like what is good for you? What level are you happy with now?
So a good example of this is and there's loads of information that goes into it, I suppose, but my drinking levels now is basically nil. I have like a diet routine. It's kind of going off tangent, but it kind of relates. So I have a diet routine now where I basically I'll eat a certain amount of calories, or up to a certain amount of calories, Monday to Saturday, and then on a Sunday I'll have a rest day where I'll just kind of eat what I want, and not count calories and not overdo it, but kind of just don't worry about it. And not last Saturday, but the 2 Saturdays before that, I thought, I might, because you in Tesco's, like planning what you're gonna buy for Sunday, to like, maybe I'll have some donuts or whatever. And I think I bought a beer on one of them and like a cider on the Saturday previously, and they've just been like just left in my fridge since then. So I I kind of don't really have that urge to drink anymore. I think now it's probably just at the stage where if it's social, because I do love going to like a beer garden with the boys, and if everyone's having a beer, like it's a really great feeling. But I don't need to drink otherwise.
Yeah, but
So
you,
it's a massive turnaround. Like those beers would have been gone in 10 seconds before.
yeah,
They wouldn't have even touched the fridge.
yeah, yeah. And I
Um,
guess, but you do, like, if we weren't in lockdown right now, you would be open to getting drunk on the occasional event, like a stag do we went to a few months
yeah,
ago, like things like that. But it's just a lot rarer now that you'll get drunk, and you generally rarely drink.
yeah, I'd say since that stag do, which was like mid-Feb, I've probably had like 4 or 5 beers. Um, and that's not really for any other reason apart from like I don't really need it.
Mm.
And the times that I did have beers, maybe I felt like the next day I didn't feel right. The thing is, like, and you probably know this as well, is that when you become really conscious of of what you're eating and consuming and exercising and stuff like that, I'm like hyper aware of how I feel. So like
Mm.
I'm very aware if something doesn't work with or like I shouldn't have in my diet. Um, and I think one of the times I probably had like 3 Coronas in the evening. I would have just felt sluggish the next day, and that just puts you off because I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel fresh every day. Um, so yeah, it's a massive turnaround from when I initially stopped drinking. But I think probably the health and fitness has kind of like forced the beers out of the way because now like I get up every Saturday morning, I go for a run, and I I like lift weights, and then every Sunday morning I get up early and I do a long run, like um at least a half marathon every Sunday. So I just can't drink beer. It's like there's no if I drink beer on a Saturday night, I can't do what I actually want to do Sunday morning.
Mm.
So it's been pushed out like because of that, but I don't really miss it. Like it's kind of like what you said. It's like it's fine. You don't need it really. But I think you just need to get yourself out of that habit. And getting yourself out of that habit is hard because there's probably like a tiny sense of being addicted to it. Like that's probably why the first few weeks of my like the sober October, like I was kind of thinking about it. I was aware of it that I wanted a beer. Probably because you're like slightly addicted to that feeling. It's the same as anything. It's the same as like if today you said I'm going to stop eating chocolate
Mm.
in a week, you'd be like looking at the Mars bars and Tesco's like, oh,
Mm.
look at that Mars bar, man.
So yeah, because we're sort of going to have to bring this to a close now.
Yeah,
But sort of it's what to reflect on, like the conversation. It was quite interesting. So we talked. I thought we didn't even get to your running, which hopefully we can do on another episode. But
yeah, man.
because that's an interesting story as well. But
Mm,
so the two big changes in your life that we chatted about actually came about quite differently. Just to sort of summarize it quickly, it would sort of be like one of them happened because you felt a low inside, you felt a new low, and you looked at
yeah,
yourself and you're like, I can't carry on like this. Whereas the
mm,
other one was a completely different thing, but the changes were just as dramatic. You instead of like hitting a low, you were more like, what would happen if I did this? And a
mm,
curiosity, and then what you learned from that curiosity then stemmed you to make big changes. So yeah, I think that's really interesting that you don't have to have one way to change, and there's not one thing that will make you change in a particular area of your life.
yeah,
And I'm sure there's other ways we haven't even talked about, but yeah. So for the ones we talked about today, it sort of was hitting a new low, and also just a curiosity to see how you react.
yeah. And I think in this day and age, say with things like mental health being so big and stuff like that, I think there needs to be like you need to have that desire to like improve, like self improvement. You need to have that desire for self improvement. So those two things kind of in their own way stemmed from that.
Mm.
Um, but I think people get so stuck in their habits that it's hard to do in a way. I think the reason why they both were successful for me is that because apart from the ways they happened, like there's the desire to make myself better, to make myself fitter, stronger, to make myself feel better. And yeah, I think if people want to make changes to their lives, they've got to have that desire first, and then the moments will come where it might like flick a switch, and then you'll suddenly change, or it might be like through step by step, like getting there slowly or flicking switch, yeah, sort of stuff like that. But yeah, it's just like I said, just stems from being curious about it and wanting to improve, I guess. Yeah. Probably a good way to sum it up, yeah.
That was the life story of Ashton
And
Jones.
then
I should include like sound effects in all of this. Like like when
like doing like comedy sound effects.
No, like documentary style sound effects. Just like, when we're talking about Thailand, we'll just have like rickshaws going past. Like eating a pizza sort of noises, and
maybe David Attenborough can like narrate over it.
And
here the humanoid collects his pizza from the front door, which has been arranged previously with the said pizza company. He scuttles back to his den and devours it.
Maybe we could do the next episode in that style. If you just write out a whole script of your experience with running, but you just do it all in David Attenborough's voice.
Yeah, I think we should do that, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Right. Well, I think we'll bring it to a close there.
Lovely jubbly.
Just want to quickly
talk to you as always.
Yeah, you too, man. I was just going to say a quick thing to anyone listening. Please feel free to continue this conversation by commenting with any thoughts you have, or contacting me to come on as a guest on the show. We talked about, I sort of already summed up what we talked about, but yeah, it was sort of making big changes in your life, especially around exercise and alcohol, and what leads you to make those changes. But yeah, I want to say a big thank you to Ashton Jones. So thank you very much, man.
And thank you very much, Dan Brown, for having me. Then this is when the applauding people in my head like all stand up and applause.
Are they crying as well, like with happiness?
It's like happy tears, and there's like they're throwing roses onto the stage and stuff like that, and going like huzzah, hurrah, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Lovely stuff, mate.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
There's something else I'd like to say to any listeners, all three of you. This podcast is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing experiment. I'm trying things out and seeing what works and what doesn't. And so any feedback on this or other episodes will be really appreciated. I don't want this podcast to just be for my own enjoyment. The goal is for it to benefit people in some way. And constructive feedback is the best way to know if this goal is being achieved. If I don't know something's rubbish, then I'll just keep producing rubbish. If I don't know something's good, then I'll just stop producing anything good. And also, if you think of anyone that you know that would be a good guest for me to chat to, then please let me know. I would love the opportunity to speak to a wide range of people about an even wider range of subjects. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope you continue the conversation. Bye for now.